We now come to what we call Paul's third and final missionary journey. He starts off by going back through and strengthening, encouraging the churches that he's helped establish on the first two journeys. But he goes to some place he hadn't been before. It's Ephesus. And I want to focus on that a little bit this day. Like usual, Paul ruffles some feathers. There's a god, Artemis, that Demetrius is a silversmith that makes trinkets and makes icons and stuff for, that causes some grief for him because he loses some business. Unfortunately, that causes Paul some grief. And also, unfortunately, we still have kind of a lot of icons and trinkets we worship today, but maybe that's for another day. But Paul spent quite a bit of time there. Then he takes off, he heads over into Greece, strengthening the churches there. And while he's in Greece, he says, it's time, I need to head back to Jerusalem. I want to get there by Pentecost. Well, so he takes off, and the idea of why there by Pentecost, that's a topic for another day also. But as he's going, I want to read something about his trip here. I want to read from Acts chapter 20, verse 17. It says, from Miletus, that's where Paul is landed with the ship he's on, Paul sent to Ephesus for the elders of the church. It's interesting. It's a long discussion here, but why did he send for him? Well, he didn't want to go to Ephesus. He knew he would not be able to pull himself away. But after a long discussion with him there, I want to drop down and read something that's very important. Verse 36. When he had said all this, he knelt down with all of them and prayed. I love that. They knelt down there on the beach and they prayed together. They spent that time in prayer. See, we build all kinds of relationships. Maybe they're at work. It could be they're in our neighborhood. Maybe you're part of a medieval reenactment group. I don't know. But you have relationships you build. We also have relationships that are close and personal. Our marriages, our families. Do we spend the time with our marriage in prayer? Do you spend time with your spouse praying? How about with your families? More than just at a meal or just at bedtime. Do you sit down with your kids and just pray and talk to them about it? Do you show them the relationship you have with God? I guess we do by our actions. And prayer needs to be a big part of that. Then there's those relationships outside of the family. Is there someone you get with regularly to pray? Is there a brother or sister that you have that close relationship with? That on a regular basis, maybe once a week, maybe every other week, maybe a couple times a month, that you get together and you pray. Maybe there's that brother or sister that you don't live near, but whenever you see them, whenever you get together, there's a time of prayer. That relationship we have. That brother or sister may live in another city, another state, but you spend that time in prayer. Now, I want to go back quickly to the beginning of all these journeys. Back to Acts chapter 13. I want to read verse 3 here. It says, so after they had fasted and prayed, they placed their hands on them and sent them off. The journeys that Paul took, the journeys that we've studied over the last 3 or 4 weeks, all begin with a prayer and sending them off. And now we see here at the end, he's kneeling on the beach with those in Ephesus. Not to mention the prayers we see throughout it. And amazing things happened. See, we need to tap into that power of prayer. We need to realize how powerful God is. And prayer is the way we tap into that. With our families, with our friends. What can happen if we tap in? Let's do it. Let's start spending that time regularly in prayer with others. And let's watch the tremendous things God will do.